but I want to address the technology inventory again since I can't seem to get any answers. So beginning in 2012, I personally documented $1 million discrepancy in the technology inventory at Northern Valley. As superintendent, you and every board member has a fiduciary responsibility to account for these purchases and the safekeeping of assets, as well as the proper disposal of all district-owned technology, particularly now that we know that millions of dollars of laptops, iPads, and desktop computers are unaccounted for. Due to the police investigations that dragged on since 2015, you, Mr. Santana, have continuously responded that you couldn't comment. Since the removal of 272 Apple laptops by George Harris and the donation of what was described in emails as 11,000 pounds of iMacs to a firm in Pennsylvania, that there has not been any criminal charges, you and the board now have the responsibility to provide answers. There is no hiding or using delay tactics to hope that time washes away these issues. Your response at the last board meeting that you're done with this issue is unacceptable. It's now time for complete and thorough transparency. It's irrefutable that George Harris removed 272 laptops from our district in 2013, estimated to be worth $150,000, and then donated them to a recycling company in Newark, causing the district to spend $250,000 on new Apple laptops as replacements. Harris had no authority to do so, and in fact, nobody was aware of his donation until I dug through the records and found this misappropriation. This incident cost the taxpayers almost $500,000, yet to date, no one has been held accountable. In going through historical records, I found emails from June of 2014 entitled 11,000 pounds of iMacs. These emails documented that George Harris and Jonette Femia orchestrated a recycling firm to come to Northern Valley Demarest and NVOT and pick up 11,000 pounds of iMacs to be put into storage in Pennsylvania. Those 11,000 pounds were wrongfully donated to that firm, unbeknownst to anyone at the board, at a time when these employees and the administration were specifically told that nothing was to leave the district pending the forensic inventory. Last year, you, Mr. Santana, personally came forth and claimed that the 11,000 pounds were not iMac computers. Rather, you claimed that the 11,000 pounds, or 3 large truckloads, they had to come back a second day, 3 large truckloads were wires, keyboards, and other e-waste materials. Assuming your claim to be true, you and the board now need to explain where all of our missing computers have gone, both those documented and unaccounted for by the forensic inventory, as well as thousands of older Apple computers. As of December 2015, when I was on the board, there were thousands of Apple computers and other brand name computers in our inventory. If the 11,000 pounds did not include any computers, where are the documents to substantiate the whereabouts of our past inventory? Since 2015, there have been 2 instances of the proper decommissioning of devices by the administration. However, the sum total of computers properly decommissioned as part of those transactions are a small fraction of what the district should have in its possession. So since you stated, Mr. Santana, that the 11,000 pounds that left the district were just old peripherals, you now need to provide the documentation for the whereabouts of all the district's technology fleet. If the 11,000 pounds did not include devices shown to be missing in the forensic inventory report, nor from the historical technology inventory, where did all the district's computers go? As board members, you know that all of the items leaving the district must be documented and approved for disposal or sale, whether textbooks, furniture, old supplies, or other items. As of December 2015, the district had thousands of devices in inventory, excluding the one-to-one devices. As a matter of fact, I believe Altitude Unlimited's report identified over 5,200 computers as of 2017. Since Mr. Santana has claimed that the 11,000 pounds were not iMacs, where are all of the iMacs that were shown to be in the district's inventory up through 2015? Where have all of the thousands of missing tech devices gone? Fortunately, Mr. Santana, you have been at the district for the entire time that these large device purchases were taking place and when they went missing. As a matter of fact, you were the principal that was in NVD when I discovered the 43 brand new iPads that were missing from storage in your building, which began my initial quest to understand the bizarre tech inventory issues. So to be clear, I'm not asking for an investigation. I'm asking you, Mr. Santana, as the superintendent, along with the entire board, to fulfill your responsibility and provide the documentation that shows what happened to the taxpayer-funded technology devices.
Kathy, your time's up, Kathy.
If you or anyone on the board does not want to uphold your fiduciary responsibility and provide answers, particularly regarding millions and millions of dollars of missing technology assets, you should step down immediately. These questions have been pending since 2015, and it's time for accountability.
Thank you.
John Griffin, Fable today. Just curious, where are the missing items?
Thank you. Anything else?
Just looking for an answer.
No, we're going to close the public, then we'll address. Anyone else? Mr. Fable?
Mark Fable, Old Japan. I do want to start by saying I really enjoyed the CT presentation, and for my 2 cents as a 30-year CTO, I think the idea of having a Java certification as an option for some of the students, fantastic. Probably the singular best language and certification to add to the process. 3 years in a row, I've been to the public meeting where the accountant gave the annual accounting report to the district and to the board. And in each of those meetings, there was a recommendation to simplify the accounting structure, specifically in the use of enterprise funds, that a high school district of our size and nature has no need for multiple enterprise funds. I don't know what the current number is, but I'm specifically interested in Fund 59, which was used for a lot of technology purchases, a lot of shared services, a lot of programs that are no longer, up and running. And I'd like to know where the board is on addressing those 3-year running accounting recommendations from your account. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marion Lippis, Northvale.
I'm sorry, just so you can get the name again.
Lippis, L-I-P-P-I-S.
Thank you. Northville.
Being a taxpayer, I'd like to know what happened to those devices.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's Catino Harrington Park. First, I thought that presentation was excellent too. Briefly on, well, I'm going to drop it down to 2 questions. I was on the board when those devices were donated to Urban Renewal, the 272. It always bothered me because when we asked, at a board meeting, when we asked where they were going, we were told they were going back to Apple. They didn't. And Urban Renewal may be a great organization, but before I would have donated our assets to somebody in Newark, I would have asked our local school districts or I would have sold them. So this board was denied that opportunity, and I hope eventually someone's held accountable, whoever was responsible for doing that. Secondly, I always thought the 11,000 pounds were the old devices. I have to say that. So I always figured, well, all those devices that were purchased year after year, according to Ray Jacobus, $500,000 a year in technology devices, and I assumed those were the 11,000 pounds in storage, and they were disposed of, whether right or wrong, how they were disposed of. Maybe Sycamore never should have gotten them, but they did. Okay, so that accounted from where they were. But then when I heard that that's not what those devices were, I had to say, the question to my mind came, well, then what happened to the devices we actually purchased? Because again, for that period of time, I was told, I wasn't on the board for those years, but I was told we were spending $500,000 a year on technology devices. In fact, in one of those years, we bought both iPads and Macs for the teachers, even though the teachers didn't need both of them and they didn't ask for both of them. When I asked the question why, it was because we have $500,000 and we're going to spend it. So there has to be a couple of $1 million worth of technology devices that were purchased, and if it's not the 11,000 pounds, then there should be some record of where they went.
Anyone else? Okay. Can I get a motion to go to the public?
So, second.
Sarah's 1, Alex 2. All in favor? Aye. We are closed.
So, I'll do my best to answer as many questions as I can. First, I would caution the public from defaming anyone in public. I don't think it's good practice. So I would caution people against that. Secondly, when it comes to the 3 community members before who asked about technology, I don't know how many times I have to say this, but we have done everything possible to show transparency in our inventory practices with regard to all these allegations. We've been hearing them for 3-4 years now. Okay, we've hired independent auditors, inventory companies, technology consultants. We've opened our books and turned every related item to all these allegations over to the police. We've cooperated with police investigations. We've conducted our own physical audits. We've been evaluated by OFAC. We've changed our inventory practices to have more accountability. And we recently received word that the charges brought forth by an old paying community member have been dismissed. I'm not sure what else you could expect from this board.
Answer where the
We've been
devices are.
completely
That's the question,
transparent.
James.
If the public is being misled, I can't control that. I'm just telling you that we have done everything that we can possibly do to address everything brought to our attention, okay? So, I don't know what else people are looking for, okay? Because we don't have anything else to say about it. We've done everything possible to comply with every investigation there was, okay?
Where are the thousands of devices?
So, then, and I agree with that, we've done everything we can to be transparent and do that, but there's specific questions that were asked. I'm not putting you on the spot right now to answer them, but I think we could, by the next meeting, there's specific answers that were asked, I think 3 specific questions.
First of all, you have to first agree that there are missing
That's what I'm going to get to, is what our district position is, and what we're using to back it up.
Dan, this is what I would say. I'm not putting anybody on the spot here. It's more tangled than it's complicated. It's complex, right? So some statements are made on potentially faulty premises. So you're asking a question, what happened to something already implies that certain other things happened that we may not agree happened.
Which is why I said the first
So
thing
it's a
was-
little bit complicated. So
if you could just explain
with regard.
Our position is the
That is the
safest
first
thing we
time.
could have done was turn everything over
We literally
to the
turned over-
authorities.
we
Everything we
turned
had.
over all
And
documents.
they investigated it. We're not investigators. They investigated it.
It's not our obligation to become professional investigators. Having said that, the investigation went on for a long time, and it had multiple levels, and it was pushed to the next level, to the next level, to the Bergen County prosecutors, and that. Every time information was asked for, it was handed over. So professional investigators spent a lot of money on it, came back and said, we see no wrongdoing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm
But
not
it's
implying-
over then. It's-
I'm not implying the opposite of that. There's a difference between criminality and asking a specific question about specific devices.
But the specific question can't be asked out of context.
And we're saying, the district's position is that question is built on a bad premise, is that those devices aren't missing or aren't gone. Or we know where they are. Is it's one of the.
I think that we've turned everything over to the authorities who are experts.
Where are the devices
And
then?
that's not fair.
Where are the devices?
If there was something missing and something of some kind of wrongdoing,
I'm not implying that, I'm not asking that.
Then they
didn't
would've
clear anything about
told us.
wrongdoing. They're talking about whether it was the couches in the library or computer, they're asking where the district property went. Whether, no matter what.
That's the question.
Whether anybody did anything illegal or not, which clearly in this instance, how many levels of law enforcement looked at? I'm not implying anything to the contrary, they've all said that's over, that's done.
But that means,
But where did the property?
Dan, that means that anything that's not here anymore, what is not here anymore properly, per the law. In other words.
Right, no, but that's our answer.
and someone may be calling them missing, but every proper
100%.
procedure was followed.
I'm not saying anything was or wasn't done wrong, but that proper procedure, we should be able to just say, here's the information, here's where they went, here's the PO, here's the bid, here's the stuff that we got.
That's your responsibility.
And we've complied with everything.
And then can you just give me another copy of it, those specific stuff,
Toward which part?
for the 11,000 pounds?
Make-
Our position.
Dan,
I've given the board that.
Dan,
You have, I'm not.
Make a specific, I mean, obviously you can write it down, because what's going on. Make a specific request of what you want, and anything you have a right to have, of course you'll have, right? And I'm sure you can have everything, so just make a specific
and that's the
request
point, is that
to what
you
you
guys
want.
haven't, no, I don't think you've been doing anything to the contrary of that. And I think that if we can just get that information out one more time, hopefully we can start putting this to bed.
Okay. Board members have any questions, anything on the agenda? There are a few items we have to vote on.